Thank you very much for this opportunity. And the parties, the three parties, the SPLM in the government or the government, the SPLM in Juba, the SPLM in opposition, as well as the SPLM former detainees were invited by the mediators. Political parties were not invited, unfortunately. I believe they were invited, but they were being denied by the government in Juba to attend. This, as it has been in the last few sessions, that the political parties delegation led by Dr. Lama Call were being denied by the government to travel to attend the peace process negotiations. So the three parties were only invited, and we had consultations. And the outcome of the consultations was the decision by the IGAD mediators, supported by the African Union and the international community, to bring the negotiations to an end and literally to impose an agreement before the 9th of July 2015. And at the end of the consultations, the parties were provided with the summary of that agreement, where those key elements of the agreement were shared with the parties. We were also informed by the mediators that this would be a peace agreement would be signed before the end of the month, or latest before 9th of July 2015. In my view, this is coming as a result of lack of political will, particularly between the government and the SPLM in opposition to reach a negotiated agreement. What the mediators are tabling is essentially elements of the agreement that was negotiated by the parties, with proposals by the mediators on the key issues that have divided the parties and eluded the peace to be reached, and outstanding issues which the parties could not reach agreement, particularly the two warring parties. So it is an imposition of an agreement that South Sudanese can live with. I believe to end the war, it is a good agreement because it is ending the war. Essentially, the main aspect of this agreement is power sharing, where the two warring parties were given the incentive, a huge incentive of sharing power, almost exclusively. The two warring parties were given the leadership of the transitional government of national unity, with President Kiir as as being the incumbent, continuing as the president of the transitional government, and with Dr. Riek Machar, the leader of the SPLM in opposition, as the first vice president.
This means executive powers.
And that's in the government, of course, with powers. And the two warring parties have been allocated 86% of power, with the remaining 14% divided between the SPLM leaders, former detainees, with 7%, and the other political parties with 7%. So essentially, it is ending the war with a formula of power sharing between the two warring parties, essentially. That is to end the war. Now the real national task would be to build peace after the war will come to an end with this agreement and with this big incentive to the warring parties. The top national priority of South Sudan and South Sudanese is stopping this war, because this war is destroying South Sudan and is threatening to disintegrate the nation. This war, in addition of having caused massive suffering to our people, it is almost leading to a collapse of the state into anarchy and lawlessness, and therefore stopping the war is a national priority. With this agreement being imposed, would stop the war and would achieve this national priority. Of course, stopping war is not an end in itself or the only end in itself. The real task would be building peace in South Sudan, with the guns going silent. We have the national task of now healing the nation, reconciling our people, and mending the national fabric that has been torn by this war. And through these processes of reconciliation, national healing, and mending the national fabric, we will be able to address the issues of bitterness, issues of tribal hatred that has been wiped up by the warring parties in this very ugly and terrible, devastating civil war. I believe now the issues that are the core of the national crisis that we have are going to be addressed through this peace agreement. This peace agreement and the end of war is going to give South Sudan a new opportunity of national rebirth. This peace agreement is going to give South Sudanese an opportunity to reconstitute our state, to reform our failing state, and build a state that would be a state that would provide the needed public services and goods for all the people of South Sudan. With this peace agreement, we will have an opportunity to not only build a state, but also to begin the process of nation building. With this peace agreement, as I said, as the guns go silent, we'll have an opportunity to now begin to address the root causes of the crisis, as well as also to address the consequences of the crisis itself and the war, including issues of the huge divide and division that has taken place, tribalism and bitterness. With also this peace agreement, we'll be able to address issues of accountability and justice, where accountability and justice will be done, particularly for the victims, and the grievances of all our people will be redressed. So this agreement, I call on all warring parties to accept it, beginning with calling on the leaders of the two warring parties, President Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar, to sign this agreement to stop the war and to give the people of South Sudan a new opportunity to to rebuild our country and rescue South Sudan from collapsing. I call also on all the commanders in the field on both sides to embrace and support this so that we stop the killings. It is enough, the death that has taken place. It is now time for us to build peace. Yes, with this agreement, we'll have an opportunity to have peace in South Sudan and to reconcile South Sudanese and to also have peace between South Sudan and all its neighbors. This peace agreement will bring to an end the presence of foreign forces within South Sudan and also foreign intervention into South Sudanese affairs, whether by Uganda or by Sudan, and we will be able to transform our relations, strengthen our relations with Uganda in pursuit of our common national interest, and as well as also transform our relations with Sudan so that we have cooperation in pursuit of common interest between the two countries and nations, and we build peace. And with Sudan and Uganda participating in this peace process and supporting this peace, we will also be able to help Sudan in addressing the issues of instability and war in Sudan, so that there is also peace in Sudan and so that we can have peace in the whole region. We will continue to address the issue of LRA that has been a menace not only to Uganda but also to South Sudan and other countries in the region like Central African Republic or Congo, and so that we can have real peace in the region. South Sudan needs peace to build itself. We have huge resources and a great potential for building a free, peaceful, and prosperous nation, and it needs an environment of peace and stability and cooperation with all its neighbors.